Hello, everyone, and welcome to the UCM podcast for today. Very excited to be with you. I've got my buddy, my partner, my guy, Tony Hook, with me today. Super excited to have Tony here. I am Dr. Bill Davis. We are UCM Practice Growth Systems. We're all about helping you grow you and your practice. The past 10 years, we've helped hundreds of upper cervical practices grow through the 8 practice growth stages, focusing on the 4 practice building blocks. And so today we are excited, we are pumped because we're celebrating our 200th episode of the UCM podcast.
What? Yeah, baby. 200. How?
That's so awesome, man.
Slow and steady wins the race, man.
Man, I'm telling you, it's cool. It's cool to see 200 episodes of this podcast. We started this podcast in January 2016. So 8 years we've been doing these podcasts, released our very first episode. And I'll tell you, some of you out there have been loyal ever since we released the first episode. You've been listening for years and years and years, and that's awesome. I'm so grateful that if you've been with us for many years, and other people have, maybe this is your first episode, or maybe you just started recently listening. But either way, we're grateful that you're here. We're grateful that you're practicing upper cervical, right? We're so excited to present this information to you, on a monthly basis, and specifically even what we're going to go over today, so you can help more people, so you can grow your practice, you can help more sick and suffering people in your community, right?
That's it. That's it.
And
By the way, if you're watching this right now or listening to it, share this. Share this right now. Pause it for a second. Share this with a student. Share it with some of your colleagues, a doctor that you know could use this information, because spread the word. I still, at conferences, they'll be like, "You have a podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah, man." And it's a no-brainer, especially if you're a new doc, if you're for a student, man, there's so much content here. 200 of these suckers. And it's not just us talking. It's other specialists, other upper cervical specialists. So share the word, get it out there, help us to reach more people.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, if you like this content, then why not share it with others, right? I mean, it's share it, like it, subscribe to it, right? Tell people about it. Leave us a 5-star review. You can keep your 1-star reviews, but we like the 5-star reviews, right? So, but yeah, I mean, it helps us to help more people. It helps us to reach more people. It feeds all the algorithms. It's just good to do. So yeah, thank you for that. And over the years, not only have we done 200 episodes, but we've also written 2 books about upper cervical practice mastery. We've done 9 annual upper cervical practice surveys. And we've learned so much about how to grow an upper cervical practice successfully by working with you through this podcast, but also individually, as many of you are our current clients or former clients or future clients, right? We've learned that there are 4 building blocks of upper cervical practice: mission, team, marketing, and systems. And this is what we go back to all the time with doctors. As Tony mentioned, we've interviewed the top upper cervical practices, the top upper cervical doctors on this podcast over the past 8 years. And it's always comes back to these 4 things: mission, team, marketing, systems. Mission, team, marketing, systems. So it's always something that we're talking about, because that's what works. It's what you need. It is the building blocks of an upper cervical practice to have mission, team, marketing, systems to be something that you're continually going back to, regardless of where you are in practice, right? It's not the kind of thing like, oh yeah, I got that now. No, you just keep going back to it. You circle back to it, and you go back and back over and over and over until you keep growing through these different growth stages, right? Everybody starts their practice and everybody transitions out of practice, but in between, you're going to grow, and hopefully you'll grow through all the different stages, or as many as you want to grow through. It's starting at when you first get going in practice, growing to $20,000 per month with a full-time CA. That's that practice growth stage 1. Going into practice growth stage 2, when you grow beyond $20,000 a month in average collections, until you hire your first associate, and then going into growth stage 3, where you're growing from 1 associate to 2, and growth stage 4, where you're going from 2 associates to 3, and growth stage 5, where you're growing from 1 location to 2, and then all the way, if you go all the way to practice growth stage 6, where you have 3 or more locations. Regardless, it always goes back to those 4 building blocks, right? If you want to go from one stage, whatever stage you're in, you want to go from there to the next one, you look to your mission, your team, your marketing, and your systems. It's so simple, but so incredibly powerful, right?
Absolutely. Yep. And then each stage has its own trials on that. It's like a repackaging because as you hire new team members, they need to get the mission. They need to be be a contributing member of the team, and the marketing and the systems, all those things, they change as you go along. Plus trends change. So
Yeah,
always having to kind of repackage, revamp, reinforce those types of things along the way. So we stay the course.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing to mention, in today's world, what really works. And so when I started this company in 2013, I was really at the beginning of the digital marketing boom, right? Things were really just starting to take off with that. But what we've seen over the years is digital marketing has just become more and more and more important, right? And the other thing that's been extremely important and consistently important to our doctors that we've interviewed over the years, to the doctors that we've worked with, and as evidenced in our upper cervical practice surveys, is the importance of patient education. And we've talked about digital marketing a lot on this podcast over the years, but today we're going to focus on patient education because maybe it's, Tony and I were talking about it, it's something maybe we don't talk about enough. We don't talk about enough on this podcast because there is a crucial aspect to your practice. It's a crucial aspect to continually communicate these things. It's tied directly into your mission, right? It's tied directly into your team, your systems, your marketing. Patient education is crucial, right, Tony?
Absolutely. I mean, if you're trying to lead that potential patient from the time that they pick up the phone, right, or they're checking out things on your website, if you're trying to effectively lead them into, as I use the term shepherd, you're shepherding them into the practice and shepherding them into care and shepherding them and now their families into care, it requires education. There's got to be connecting points. So we're going to unpack this a little bit, but having to make sure that you are intentional about this and strategic about this. And then if you've got a team, is everybody saying the same thing? If you need to really sync up that messaging so that your patient walks away with understanding it. Because I tell you, there might be a tendency to overcomplicate things because you've got 100 out of 100 knowledge, but you need to only give them 5 things. So the patient they don't get overwhelmed and go, what? We want them just to right along systematically. Here's what we want them to understand, because a better educated patient typically will start care, they'll typically stay in care, and they're going to be your true fans sending in those referrals because they get it.
Absolutely. And that's what I love about Tony. I love having him in my world and talking with me all the time, because he sees things that I don't see. Because as he mentioned, as an upper cervical specialist, we can get caught up in the weeds, right? We can get lost in our own minds and our own education, where we think that other people know the things that we know, and we start talking over their heads. We start talking.
Care about it. There's some things they don't even care about. They're like, look,
they don't even care about it, right? So understanding like, hey, you know what? We've got to figure out how to communicate this effectively for them, right? For the patient. And that's why Tony is so beneficial to doctors. Like, I mean, he coaches our most of our clients, does our practice growth sessions. And it's such a refreshing perspective to talk to someone who is an actual patient, right? He is an advocate for upper cervical care. So when he talks to doctors, he's talking to them like one of their patients, because he is. He is an
Right.
upper cervical patient. His wife is an upper cervical patient. His kids are upper cervical patients. He gets it. He gets what works and what doesn't when it comes to how to talk to people about upper cervical.
Right. Right. That's it. And
And
by the
so
way, we're constantly looking for people to refer, whether it's our city or another city. So we've you might be listening, and we referred somebody to your practice. So
that's right. That's right. And that's what an upper cervical advocate does, right?
that's
Because
right.
Tony he
And that's
gets
what
upper
patient
cervical.
education can do. Patient education can get your patients into being that advocate.
That's
Um,
it.
absolutely.
So Tony and his family are upper cervical advocates, and that's because they have been properly educated over the years. They understand upper cervical. They get the concepts, they get the big ideas so that they can communicate it to others and refer others into the practice. And that's what you want. You want hundreds of Tonys in your practice, people that are getting it, that are understanding it, that can communicate it to others. And so today we're going to look at 7 concepts that every patient needs to know about upper cervical chiropractic. And I encourage you, if you're watching this online, you're on, watching this on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, take a picture of this. Take a picture of this, because this is how you build your patient education system. You take these questions and you begin to unpack them themselves in your mind first. Start writing out your answers. You start writing it all out, and then you take it to your staff and your team, and you talk it over with them. Does this make sense? Okay, what doesn't make sense about this? How can we make this make sense to you? Right? Because they have to get it first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the doctors and the associates first, they get they put together their explanations, and then the CAs really are useful when it comes to this, to get it really into a position where people get it, right? And then from there, then you start testing it, right? You start testing it with patients. You start saying these things to patients, and you ask them, does that, after you say things, you say, does that make sense? And you'll look at their face, and does their face like, yes, that makes sense? You see a light bulb going off. You see, oh, I get that. Oh, okay, that makes sense, right? You hear those kinds of things, and then that's when you know, oh, I got something here,
Yeah,
right?
you're going for the light bulb, man. You
Yeah,
get those people switched on. A lot of people switched off. You know this.
that's right. That's right. Get that shift of mind. And I'll
Yep.
tell you too about these things, you have to keep going back to them, right? Just because you told someone one of these concepts on visit 3 doesn't mean you have to you need to tell them again probably on visit 9, right? And you need to tell them again on visit 27 and visit 38, right? You have to keep going back to these concepts, because they're not something that they're going to hear every day. You
Mm-hmm.
have to help them to shift their mind, start going in a different direction. So here are the 7 concepts. 7 concepts. What is a subluxation? How long until my symptoms go away? What is retracing? Holding is healing, how to get the best and fastest results, the path to healing, and the importance of keeping appointments. 7 concepts that we're going to go through right now. Let's start with the first one. What is a subluxation? Okay, so Tony, the first time you ever heard that word, what were your thoughts? What did when you first heard that word, how confused were you?
I didn't know at all what it was,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
why does it even matter?
yes,
What it is aside, so what? It's a misalignment in your spine between 2 vertebrae. Which impedes nervous system function. Okay, so I don't care. It's okay. I cracked my neck anyway, right? So I take care of that. No, why is it important, right? So being able to articulate that is super important, right?
that's it. So it's not just a definition, right? It's a why behind the definition,
Why? All
right?
of these, there's a why.
All of them. That's right. And so thinking that through when you're doing this yourself, Doc, when you write it down on a piece of paper and you say, what is a subluxation? You start writing it out yourself. And like, like Tony said, if you're saying, well, it's a misalignment between the bones, it's a shifting in posture, it's a misalignment of the spinal bones that is interfering with the nervous system. Whatever your definition is, you start saying those things. Okay, go back to, okay, well, why? Why does it matter to them? Why am I telling them? Why, right? So why does it matter to them? What does it matter, Tony, that you understand what a subluxation is compared to when you didn't?
Why does it matter to me?
Yeah, why does it matter?
Well, that connects me to the office. Like, if it doesn't matter to me, why am I talking to you? So like if I know what this is and why it's important, then okay, well, do I have one of those subluxations? Well, can you take care of one if I have one? And now it's like well, then let's get this started. If I know what it is and why it's important, and you have the answer, and you can check for these things, then I'm in. So you're connecting the dots for them. You're not just giving them information and expect them to make the right decision. You're connecting the dots. I remember I was just doing a growth session here with somebody today, and like a couple of weeks ago, we're working on connecting the dots, and as I've been calling it, right? And so it's yes, you define it, yes, you share the why, but then you give the solution too. And this is what we recommend. This is why it's important to get checked. This is why we're going to take x-rays. This is what, and so you've got these dots connected, and we can set you up with that today. Boom.
That's it.
Just lead them and shepherd them through.
How does it affect their life? Right? That needs to be the thing that goes back to it all the time. So a subluxation is this. How is it affecting their life? How is it impacting their body? How is it impacting their mind? How is it impacting their family, their work, their hobbies, right? Yeah. It's the need behind the need, right? It's not just that you have migraine headaches. It's not just that you have vertigo. It's not just that you're struggling with neck pain. It's you have a subluxation. You have something that has happened to your body that has never been addressed properly. And when we correct this problem, then your body is going to get healthier. Your body is going to feel better. Your body is going to work the way it was designed.
That's it.
Right? That's it. So that's it. First question, big thing. What is a subluxation? Because it flows into all the other parts of the patient education system. You got to communicate this effectively to your patients. Number 2, how long until my symptoms go away?
Everybody asks this. Everybody wants to know this. There's not a single person has come to you and you might read this right now and go, we don't take care of symptoms. We're not a symptoms-based practice. We're taking care of subluxations and we're letting innate do it. Okay, look, I get that. But from the patient's point of view, because they got migraines every day, dude. Like that's the reason that they're in. Their baby won't stop crying at night. And they need sleep. If you're like my wife, like she couldn't take vacations because she couldn't sleep in hotel beds. So that like we couldn't travel in cars and we couldn't fly well, and it impacted so many different things. So it's a natural question. Like, hey, does this thing work? Does this work? Is this worth my time? Exactly. How long? It's not a weird question, No.
And that's the thing is, regardless of how you feel about symptoms, right? It's on the mind of the patient. And they matter.
Address it.
They matter. Yeah. They're the one you're serving, right? So if you don't understand that they have this question in their mind and it needs to be addressed, and you're just dismissing it, then you're doing them a disservice, right? How long until my symptoms go away? You have to address this. Even if you're going to explain symptoms to them, which is completely fine. Like, hey, listen, symptoms are just it's a warning sign from your body that something's not right? And that's how I used to explain. I used to explain it, hey, so this is what a symptom is. It's like a check engine light on your, you've all probably heard this. It's like a check engine light on your dashboard of your car, right? It's You have different options when it comes to that check engine light, right? You can take a piece of tape and you can put it over the light so you don't look at it anymore and just keep driving, right? But that is only going to cover up the symptoms. It's not going to get to the underlying cause of the symptoms, right? So these kind of concepts, these kinds of things they help people understand, like, hey, listen, so when you're taking when you're taking Advil every day for your headaches, what's it like? It's kind of like taking a piece of tape and just covering up that check engine light, because is the Advil really solving your problem? No, it's not, right? It's not getting to the underlying cause of the problem. It's only addressing the symptoms. And so although your symptoms matter, what matters even more is what's causing those symptoms, right? And that's it. So these are the concepts that patients need to get. And it starts with this question: how long until my symptoms go away? But the explanation, as I just did, right, it takes you to the cause. And that's where you need to go, right? You need to always go back to the cause. Okay, yes, we're not, we want your symptoms to go away, but ultimately we want to get to the cause of your symptoms. We want to know what's causing your symptoms, right? We're not going to address effects. We're going to focus on the cause.
That's it. And keep in mind too, like as a practice, I mean, there's a number of them out there, chiropractic, where it's super focused on pain, and symptoms and all that stuff. And so, they may have a patient's going to come in with a preconceived idea that, can't you just crack my back and make my, sciatica go away, doc? And it should only take a couple visits, right? And I'm good to go. I'm out the door, peace out. So you're up against that, right? And so how you respond to this with an educated, hey, we're going after the root cause here, and so that's super important. And then it's an opportunity, even questions you're like, oh, this thing, it's an opportunity to connect with the patient and meet them where they are.
Absolutely.
That's a fantastic question. And that's why we do what we do. We want you to have your best life. We want you to be free from all this stuff. And you came in with vertigo. We want you to be free from your vertigo, hopefully as fast as possible. Absolutely. Yes. But even deeper than that, we want to fix what's really going on and address that. And so you could be the best reflection of yourself day in, day out, something like that.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, one of the best people at patient education that I ever met, that I ever interviewed on this podcast multiple times. I interviewed him. He was a great friend of mine, has passed away now, Dr. Robert Brooks. And Dr. Bob Brooks had an incredible class that he would take you through when he was doing this and taking care of people seminars. And I remember doing this many years ago and talking with him about it many times after that on the podcast and so forth. And he would use this phrase that would be really, really powerful when it came to this, and I still use it all the time. And you know what we want for you is we want you to have fast relief. We want you to have maximum recovery, and we want you to have long-lasting results, right? Because who doesn't want that, right? So what that does, it takes them beyond just like, hey, can you get my headache to go away today? Yeah, we want that for you, but we want more than that. We want more than that. We want you to not just have fast relief. We want you to have maximum recovery. We want you to recover. We want you to heal from that. And we want you to have long-lasting results, right?
You see the care. You see the care there? That's care.
Yes.
As a patient, you're like, this doc cares about me.
They care. That's right.
I'm in.
Next.
Sign me up.
What is retracing? What is retracing? So, first time you ever heard this concept, Tony, what was your thoughts?
I was like, it's the same thing as any term, right? You're like, okay, what is
that?
And then it was confusing. I'll be honest, like I was confused about it. I was working on the whole spring analogy, today for this, and to try to articulate it in some patient email sequence, patient education emails. But yeah. So I was kind of going like, why am I having issues along the way? That's how it came up. It's like, why am I re-experiencing this thing? I thought what the heck? You know, I feel worse this week. Things have been going great, great, great. And then all of a sudden, and you'll have patients that drop off if this question's not answered and they don't understand this because they're like, oh, that doc got me as far as they could.
That's right. And that's why this question is so crucial to answer early in the process. It needs to be one of the first concepts, along with what is the subluxation, which really should be addressed during the new patient visits. Totally. The report of findings and whatnot. What is the subluxation? Better be answered, and also how long till my symptoms go away, right? Those are the kinds of questions I address in the report of findings, and then reiterate over and over and over. But what is retracing? Maybe that might be the third visit. It may be the third time they come into the practice. You're talking about retracing because, and it may even be in the report of findings. It depends on you and how long it would be, but it needs to be an early concept that's introduced because, like you said, the average person, especially if you don't do a care plan, which we recommend you do care plans, but the average person is going to give you 6 visits. 6 visits, right? They're going to give you 6 visits. They're either going to feel better or they're not going to feel better. And either way, they're gone, right? What is retracing helps them to see that, hey, you know what? Healing is a process. There's going to be hills and there's going to be valleys. There's going to be things that you're going to go through as you go forward. But the key is that we're continuing to move forward, right? This is part of the recovery process. You're going to have dips and valleys and all those kinds of things. It's inevitable. It's part of the healing process.
And this is going to be one of the ones that you should hit pretty frequently.
Yes.
Because what happens? They come in, they sit down, you go, hey, how you been? Open-ended question, and they're going to tell you, well, I still got the thing. And they're looking at you like you've got like a magic wand to like fix it right then, and you're like, okay, yeah, we're staying the course. Well, just like we talked about, there's going to be some ebbs and flows here. You might have some good days, some bad days. Don't forget, when you first came, you said that just about every day was bad. So we're on the right path. We're staying the course. Let's get you checked. Let's get you making sure that you're holding, and you just kind of recycle it.
Absolutely. Good days, bad days. Good days, bad days is a really important. That's a good way to explain it. That's a good way to walk it through. Hey, listen, there's going to be good days and bad days. We're going to see over time that you're going to have more good days and less bad days. That's the goal, right? But you know what? When you have one of those bad days, I want you to remember we talked about this. I want you to remember that we had this conversation and to expect it, that it's going to happen. You're dealing with a lot of inflammation. You're dealing with a lot of scar tissue. You're dealing with a lot of things that have been damaged and need to heal. And so understanding that this is a process of healing.
We were leaving our appointment as a family, and there was somebody that I knew at the office, and I saw him like, oh, hey, how's it going? My son was part of the soccer league and all that stuff. Anyway, they happen to have my cell phone. We're driving home. My phone rings. It's that person. And she's like, can I talk to you for just a second? And she was going through like, I'm not getting better. And I feel worse. Like, what's going on? And so I'm actually on the phone, I'm talking about retracing. I don't think I used the word retracing, but the concept. And I kind of shared that with them and, reminded them. And sometimes they need to hear it from different people. So it's important to make sure your team gets this too. Yes. And don't forget your patients are your advocates too. Because case in point, I was blessed because a couple months later I saw her again in the office. I'm like, sweet, she's staying in care, and then finally had the breakthrough, right? So anyway, it's important to really drive that home and make sure everybody's on board.
That's a really important point on this, right? It can't just be you that's saying these things, and that's why the whole team has to be involved, and your patients. And like you said, one of the best things that could possibly happen is 2 of your patients are having a conversation in the lobby, and one of the patients is educating the other patient about upper cervical, right? That's when you know it's working. That's when you know, hey, oh, wow, we're teaching people and they're teaching others, because the teacher always learns the most, right? And so when the teacher is teaching someone else, they're like, they get it, they understand it, and now they're telling somebody else the same thing. And so what is retracing is another huge concept. Number 4, holding is healing. Holding is healing. Tell us about it, Tony.
I like this one, man. When I first kind of got that, it resonated with me, and I think it resonates with a lot of people. It's easy to remember, it's
Yep.
catchy, right? It's like a note. And what you want to do is also set the stage for that high five that when the patient comes in, they get checked, and you go, "Hey, you're good to go. Catch you later." Because there's that knee-jerk reaction of like, "Well, I drove all the way up here
Aren't you going to do
for."
something?
Yeah, like I remember. So at one point we were driving 3 hours one way for our appointments. So you're driving 3 hours. Nobody needs an adjustment, and I'm like driving 3 hours back plus the time there. I'm like, it's a whole day, you know. Now we're fine. We're cool. We actually worked in rewards. If all of us are holding, we go out for a treat.
Woohoo!
So, but that's the patient getting it though. But so changing it into like a high five thing, because sometimes as a doctor, you might feel like, oh, geez, I feel kind of
I got to
bad
do
taking
something.
their money. I didn't do anything. Yes, you
Yeah.
did. You checked them. You made sure that their atlas is where it's supposed to be and that their head's on straight. You made sure that their nervous system function is there. You absolutely performed a service expertly. You performed that service to check that. And you made sure that they are holding and that their body is continuing to heal. So that's what you did for them. So it's okay to take that money.
And I'll tell you what, the way that you can think about it, if you're a doctor that struggles with this at all, when it comes to like I check somebody and I feel like I need to do something, what has happened is you've given them such a good adjustment last time that now you're getting paid more for that adjustment. Okay. That's basically what it is. It's a consequence of the last adjustment. It's like, hey, this is extra. This is now extra because of how good that one was. But
That's right.
also, man, it's the greatest time for patient education is the holding is healing concept. First of all, you got to reiterate that. You got to talk about that in the beginning. But then every time it happens, like Tony said, it has to be a celebration. It has to be a high five. It has to be, hey, I gotta come out here. I'm gonna tell Jane something. Jane, Mr. Smith's holding his adjustment today. Yes, and we're giving
What
high
about a
five.
bell? Ring a
You know,
bell. Ding,
everybody's like,
ding.
we used to have in my office. I would have a holding is healing contest every month, and every single month, anyone who was holding got to get a little raffle ticket, put it in a bucket. At the end of the month, we gave away something. We gave away a gift card or something like that, because the whole idea was that helped everyone to be excited about it. Our CAs would be excited about it, the patients would be excited about it, and they would constantly reinforce that concept that holding is good. And so that's the key. It's not about being adjusted thousands of times. It's about getting a good correction so the person is holding the correction, and we want them to hold that adjustment as long as possible, right? So we're checking you to make sure it's still holding. If it's not holding, then we're going to get you back in alignment. But the key is to teach them that holding is good.
That's right.
Number 5, how do you get the best and fastest results? Again, this is a question that every patient has, right?
So it kind of goes along with like, how long should I expect to see results? It's similar to that, right? But now this one has an aspect of, you know, when you answer this correctly, now you're winning your patients over onto the team. Like
Yes,
they could take some responsibility on this one.
that's right.
You start talking to them, hey, you know what? Stop staring down at your phone. Stop sleeping on your stomach. Mind your posture. Sit up straight. Watch your diet. Mind your thoughts. Thoughts, traumas, toxins. Right. So you start to talk to them about these. Make sure you make your appointments. Don't
Yeah, we'll get
keep.
more to that one in a minute, but yeah, but I'll tell you, but this one is an empowering question. It's an empowering question. It's you giving them power over the process, giving them
Ownership.
It's not, you know what? It's not just, hey, you need to come here and I'm going to give you pills to take. No,
Right.
it's I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you how to get the best results and the fastest results possible. Right?
Yeah.
Doctor means teacher. You need to teach. Teaching
Yes.
is
Guide.
a huge
You're the
part.
sage.
You're the gate, you're the guide. Yeah, you're the person that's helping them to get to where they want to go. And so, yes, it's not just about what we do here in the office. It's about what you do with your life. It's how you handle your life, how you handle your body, your mind, your, what you put into your mouth. All these things matter. And this is where a patient education class is absolutely essential. We recommend this for every upper cervical doctor out there to have a patient education class, a healthcare class, something that patient orientation, whatever you want to call it, where you can bring patients to it. And what I would always do it and how I'd get them there is I'd always say, listen, in this class, I'm going to teach you how to get the fastest results possible. I'm going to teach you how to get the best results possible. I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to know so that you can hold your adjustments as long as possible, right? So I'm reiterating concepts that I've already talked about, and in the fact that this is going to be for their benefit. This is going to get them better results, which is what they want, right? You want fast relief, maximum recovery, and long-lasting results, then you'll come to our class. And you know what? You can bring anybody else with you that also wants to know how to best take care of their body, so the way it was designed as well, right?
That's it.
So that's a powerful question, but it's also a great reason to do a patient orientation class, is so that you can really focus in on this question in that
Absolutely.
class.
Yep.
So number 6, the path to healing. What's this all about, Tony?
Yeah. So it's kind of, with the ebbs and flows, that's part of that, right? And so, understanding even the word path there, right? From a patient perspective, right? That this is not a pill that I take. This is not a surgery that I have, a procedure that's done to me, that's going to fix this. This is a journey. Path tells me that there's a journey here. Path tells me that I'm walking on this path, and so even just the phrasing of this question I like, just because it's letting them know, like, there's a journey here, and you're the adventurer on this journey, and there's some ups and downs and winds and turns, and make sure you stay on the path.
That's right. And this is why this question is an incredible lead in to the stages of care, right? Because that is the key, right? That
Mindset.
Patients need to understand that there's a path. I'm going to take you on that path. I'm your guide. I'm going to walk you through these different stages. And stage 1 is this. This is what happens in stage 1. This is what happens in stage 2. This is what happens in stage 3, and so forth. So that patients understand, like, okay, we have a plan. Again, going back to care plan, we have a plan for your care, and we're going to take you through this plan. We're going to take you through this path. We know exactly what to expect in stage 1. We know exactly what expect in stage 2 and stage 3, and so forth, so that they get it, that they understand, hey, this doctor's knows what they're doing, right? Like they understand where we're going. They understand that they've taken a lot of other people this direction, right? And they want healing. They want that. And what you need to give them is hope. You need to give them hope that there is a path, that I know the path. I can take you there, right? I can take you on this journey.
Yeah.
And so that's the key to this.
Real quick too on that, it's like the confidence that you're able to, I'm with you every step of the way through this.
Yes.
What we've seen is, as we've taken people along this, and now maybe you're new and you can't say those things yet, but once you do get somebody, what we've seen is, as we take people all the way through, to just to wellness care, and now we're just doing checkups. It's a beautiful process. It's important to stay in the course, so just it's managing those expectations and making sure that this person's committed, right? That their mindset, the patient mindset, is, I'm committed. I'm seeing this thing through. Because doesn't it drive you nuts when a person just stops? You're like, man, they could have just been just this close to having that, switch being turned off in the brain, that the pain signal, which is all they were looking for or whatever. They might have been get just this close to getting the results that they were looking for, but they pulled the plug, because they didn't understand properly the path to healing.
Yes. Yeah. Acres from diamonds, right? They're they just need to, go a little bit further, just a little bit further. And there's a huge breakthrough, right? So many things are build up and breakthrough, right? Building up, building up, building up, building up in the breakthrough, right? So that's the key with this, understanding this, going back to this, helping them understand, like even progress exams. Progress exams are a huge part of this. Like we do progress exams because of the path to healing, right?
Yeah.
We want to check in on these things. We want to reevaluate. We want to see where you are. We want to see what's going on, right? So this is all part of these concepts that are so crucial to your patient education system. And the last one here is the importance of keeping appointments, right? So this one, it seems like it's a simple concept, but I'll tell you, it is so frequently not communicated effectively, and it is a huge problem within practices, right? What's your experience with this one, Tom?
And I'm gonna say this: if you're not scheduling a next appointment with your patients, you're doing a disservice to them.
Yes.
If 100% of your patients don't have a next, like 100% of your patients should have a next appointment scheduled, at least one.
Absolutely.
And if they're in a care plan, I would just go ahead and schedule all of them within
100%.
within that corrective phase. So, because here's the thing, otherwise you're now playing into the symptom-based care. Oh, you call us when you got a problem. Call us when you need us. Well, then you're waiting for something to happen. When did they go out? When do they actually? I mean, it drives me nuts. And from a business standpoint, it's terrible. So it's from a service to the patient, it's terrible. From a business standpoint, it's terrible because you have no connection with them. You're just kind of twiddling your thumbs, and Jim will reach out when he's out. He's pretty good about it. I guarantee Jim never comes in early.
Right.
He's always coming in late.
He always comes in late. Yeah. And always. I'll tell you the other thing too, Doc, and I know a lot of you out there, because I know this is how I was too. You're driven by results, right? You love to see patients get results. The importance of keeping appointments. You have to nail this with them. You have to get this nailed into their mind, because if not, your results are not going to be as good. You're not going to help people as much as you could if they don't come in, right? You have to check them when you need to check them. You have to adjust them when you need to adjust them. You need to do progress exams when you need to do them. You need to do progress films when you need to do them. Like, this is crucial. This is how you get consistent results.
Yeah.
Right. This is like we talked about, at the beginning. Mission, team, marketing, systems. This is a system problem. If you don't have this communicated effectively and then executed by your team, right? So like as Tony said, after that report of findings, after they agree to care and you give them a care plan, every one of those care plan appointments should be scheduled immediately. That should be part of your process, part of your checklist. Every patient gets those appointments scheduled, however many appointments there are. And then after progress exams, if they need to adjust that schedule, then you adjust it with them. After they get into the care plan, then there needs to be a next either care plan or wellness plan or next stage for them, so that they know how to keep moving forward with their health by keeping their appointments.
What I was going to say too is making sure that they understand why, the patient, right? Like, why is this important? Nancy, what we want you to get the fastest results, the best results. We've already talked about how holding is healing. How we make sure that you get the fastest, best results and that you're holding is that it's super important to keep your appointments. And if something comes up, that's crazy and you need to reschedule, get in as soon as possible. We're going to work with you to do that, because we want to see you living your best life, and that you're just your nervous system is clear and you're functioning well, you're in alignment. So just driving that home, like keeping those appointments, and it's going to save you time too, because when they reschedule, how much of a pain that can be, right? When and then it takes up your CA's time, and they're trying to scramble along. There's another patient checking out. They're not giving attention to there because they're on the phone doing a reschedule, or the patient drops out of care and you try to get them reactivated. That just takes so much more effort. Better on the front end that the patient intrinsically goes, this is important. This is the best, fastest results that I can get. I need to keep my appointment. And they guard that time.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And reiterating again, these 7 concepts, every single one of them, not only do you need to answer them, but you need to answer the why behind the concept. It's crucial, right? So again, the 7 concepts every patient needs to know about upper cervical chiropractic. What is a subluxation? How long until my symptoms go away? What is retracing? Holding is healing. How to get the best and fastest results. The path to healing, the importance of keeping appointments. Those 7 concepts is how you should build your patient education system around those concepts. Those are the keys. There may be some others out there too that you want to add in, but those 7 are crucial. You got to have those. If you want to have a really successful internal referral practice, like if you want to get consistent internal referrals, if you want to get patients who are loyal to the practice, that are committed to the practice, that are compliant to your care plans, that are excited about care and are getting great results, they got to get these concepts. It's absolutely crucial. And so lastly, Tony, let's tell our doctors what can they do next if they want to work on their patient education system.
And as we're talking about this, knowing you docs, you're analyzing, right? You're going, okay, how do we do? I think I do an okay job. I'm pretty sure. I'm not really, I don't know if I did that. And you got some questions, and that's what we're here for. That's why we're doing this podcast. That's why we do that's why we're on episode 200. That's why we're talking about this topic. This topic is relevant, and so we're trying to create things that have value for you. And one of the things that we do is we have these growth sessions where we strategize together, and we meet on a weekly basis, and maybe we take a look at the patient education system that you have or don't have, or let's work on tightening the screws of it, or maybe it's the new patient phone call, or maybe it's defining your team's roles, your CAs, or you're setting you up to hire your first associate or your second, etc. Those do team meetings. These are growth sessions, and they're strategic. They're meant to be, maybe it's just let's accomplish this task and then we're done. Maybe it's an ongoing thing as we have new tasks that come along. We come alongside of you, help you to implement and design and revamp your systems, and so that you have growth. And so if that's something that's on your radar, as I'm mentioning this, like, that would be kind of nice to have somebody to help me with this. Great. That's literally what I do. So reach out, schedule a time for us to talk, maybe we just kind of go from there and see if there's a win there. We also have, of course, have our growth systems, from a marketing standpoint as well, where you can get more people through the doors, and there's some tools in there to be able to make sure that your patients are starting care and staying in care and all that stuff. So lots of different opportunities for you. You're not alone. You don't have to go at these things alone, man. Like there's so many resources out there, that we have access to, and I'd love to see if there's anything we can do to help.
That's it. So go over to UCMPracticeGrowthSystems.com. Again, that's UCMPracticeGrowthSystems.com, and you can schedule a practice strategy session, initial call with Tony, and talk through your practice, see what's going on. He can help you. If it's a good fit for us to work with you, to partner with you, to reach more sick and suffering people in your community, to work on your team, your mission, your systems, we will be able to know that pretty quickly. Within that first call, we'll already have a good understanding of what's going on with the practice, and pretty quickly be able to see how we might be able to help you. So if you want to build a strategic growth plan with the 4 building blocks to grow in 24, schedule a practice strategy session at UCMPracticeGrowthSystems.com. So thank you so much, docs, for being with us. Thank you for 200 episodes. Thank you for all of you that have continue to listen to this podcast. We hope to have many, many more podcast episodes to come in the future. And as we always say, go team
Go team upper cervical.